I'd like to start this video off by announcing I'm starting up a new show called Zero to Enduro, where basically I'll be taking the stump jumper and turning it into a hard-hitting trail or mountain bike. For those of you who have been following my channel now for the last 8 months, thank you for viewing, but you'll all know that I've taken this Rally MC 300 and basically turned it from a super budget, I want to say XC bike because it was pretty twitchy back then, but yeah, a budget XC bike that I got for $250 and turned it into a hard-hitting all-mountain aggressive hardtail. So let's kick off episode 1 of Zero to Enduro. We have 3 main criteria for this entire series that's going to span over a couple months. Yeah, probably a couple months because I'm going to spread things out the same way I did to the rally. We're starting off with servicing. We're just going to service both shocks, front and rear. Then we're going to ride it. We're going to see how it feels with just the suspension that's already there, everything that's set up. Then we're going to overhaul a ton of parts, swapping parts that don't work, changing stuff to fit me better, changing drivetrains, trying out different brakes, trying out different tires. But we have criteria number 2. We cannot pass $500 on the overhauling procedures. Basically, all the parts we're going to buy for this entire bike that have to overhaul this entire system cannot exceed $500. There is a buffer fund of $50 because I was able to get a discount on buying the frame. So $550 is our hard limit. Ideally, we want to stick to $500. That's including shipping to Zim, which is a big pain point. We're not going to count any tools I have to buy or any maintenance stuff I have to get, like derailleur hangers and bar ends or bent spokes or whatever, right? It's just overhaul parts. So let's get into it. Starting with this entire video, we're just going to focus on suspension, tuning, and seeing how the bike rides as it is stock. For those of you that have been watching the content, you will realize that the terrain that we're riding down south is less about big hits, huge jumps, super high speed berms. We have mostly natural trails that don't require a lot of travel. So whenever you ride a bike that's got like 150, 160 rate travel, it's just muting everything and making the entire trail boring. That doesn't mean there aren't trails that are there that support those kind of enduro bikes, but we actually benefit from the shorter travel but still slack because we do have steep chunky trails. So the ideal travel range that would work best for the trails here would be a 130, 140 rear and 150, 160 up front, or 140 if you're a lighter person, right? So with that in mind, you'd be thinking, hey Nathan, why not just buy a more modern bike? Why settle on this frame platform that's from 2016 to 2019? Why not just get a newer bike? And the answer to that is budget. I'm self-funding this entire project, and a lot of these bikes you could get them second hand in South Africa, a neighbor country, and that's like $1,800. You'd think, oh wow, it's a good deal, until you factor in the shipping costs and all those. Usually it ranges up to about 30% unless you go yourself and flights and all that. So you end up paying like $2,300 for a bike that you got for $1,000 or $1,200, which is still a pretty decent deal. I just have the added issue of finding the right size for myself because I'm a smaller person. I ride either older gen frames. I can handle a medium, but usually I'd want a size small, being 5'4", 164 centimeters. So when I found this one at a crazy deal, I decided, hey, it's cheap enough that I can experiment on it, and it's definitely a solid learning platform for me to learn about suspension kinematics and how to tune up all mountain, hard hitting, short travel trail bike. Just had a braking incident, but yeah, aside from my malfunctioning brakes today, it actually feels great. The brakes just, I don't even know how I used to ride these stuff with the 2-piston brakes. There you go. We've all seen what happened out in the bush. We've all tried out the bike. We can all attest to the fact that the bike is extremely fun to ride. Despite the braking issues I experienced, despite the steep head angle situation, I kind of already have a solid idea of what I'd like to change on the frame itself. I have a pretty solid idea of what I want. And starting off with the brakes. Right now we're running a 180 rotor in the front and 160 in the rear with 2-piston brakes. I am probably gonna get a 180 rotor and run it with the 2-piston because right now I do have a 4-piston caliper in stock. So I will swap off the front because I need more stopping power. Like I was reaching parts where I literally jump off the bike because I just couldn't stop. I literally couldn't stop. Like I'm used to the one on the rally where you can just lock up the front wheel if you're not careful. This one just keeps going. So first off, we're definitely swapping off the brakes. That is a non-negotiable, which is happening, I believe, next week. So we're gonna service the the fork. We've already serviced the shock. You can even see the little oil, excess oil that comes out whenever you service it. We're gonna see if I just do a low or I do a full rebuild. We'll see whenever we get there. And we're also gonna swap the caliper. That is important. We are also going to need to bleed the rear brake. Right now it's working. After a couple runs on that rocky downhill section, it opened up, but it was giving me issues the whole time, from locking up and then dragging and then refusing to let go. Now you can even see the area where like the oil might have been leaking, the mineral oil might have been leaking. I can't tell, but I can definitely see it's coming out. So there's definitely something amiss in that rear brake system. So that's also changing. That's the next thing we're swapping out. Alright, so when I crashed earlier, you can see the impact part right here. I got up a rock right there, and I think it bent the hanger, and then the force of the crash also might have smashed the mech. Alright, so I was watching the video back, and I think I was also trying to shift the gear, so it must have caught on, and then I pedaled down, hit a rock strike, just bend your freaking mech hanger. Boom. I'm basically gonna be taking everything I've learned from that bike and implementing it on this full suspension platform and seeing how far I can push this older gen platform with 27.5 wheels. Again, I'm a smaller rider with very short legs. Now, the big elephant in the room. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture the exact moment it happened, and a lot of the footage from that particular ride session is unstable, to say the least. Whilst racing with Graham, like we're having a great insane time, I had a massive pedal strike, which is probably like my 10th pedal strike today, but at race pace, and you can see what happened to my alloy pedal. Totally shattered. I'm probably gonna bend it in place while I wait for the new pedals to arrive, but that's another fix that's gotta happen really soon. Having these 170mm cranks where we ride on 27.5 wheels, let's not even get into the fitment issues. It's just not worth it because you're just getting pedal strike after pedal strike after pedal strike. I don't even need to sag the suspension to hit the ground. If I just lean the bike while sprinting, I can clip the pedal. Drivetrain. Those will recall my little, again, pedal strike situation. Well, my hanger is most definitely bent. Definitely gonna need to get that straightened out as soon as possible. But yeah, we need to swap this out, and lucky for me, I actually have ordered in a brand new Shimano Dior. It's 11-speed M5100. I'm gonna use the exact same cassette because here's another tip for those of you who may or may not want to do this kind of project. Because it's running an 11-speed SRAM system, the spacing on the cassette is the exact same as Shimano's HG system because it is an HG cassette. It has a lock ring, it has everything. So the Dior platform will work on this exact same cassette. This cassette is not finished. You can literally see the teeth are still rounded off. None of them are shark fin. So, to save costs, I just bought a mic, a chain, and a shifter. That's it. Let's get on with the video. And then the last thing that I learned after riding it quite extensively on Sunday, the tires. The tires are actually pretty great. They roll pretty fast. I wasn't feeling like I was going slow or anything. Like, they roll pretty great. They do pretty good. You know, they specialized switches. I personally just don't like them. My main reason being the way they fling rocks at me and the frame. Literally, I was getting pelted by rocks on my face, on my arms. Underneath the frame, I was just hearing clack, clack, clack. Rocks getting flung up. Literally, I'm surprised while pushing the bike here, nothing got caught up. But in these giant side knobs, things always just get caught up and then sent straight to your face. But cornering is great. So my idea is eventually I'll run a hand stamp or Romy in the rear and a Magic Mary up front. Anyways, with all that in mind, I am really excited to see where this takes me. If I can turn this into a hard-hitting all-mountain platform, we'll see if it is actually feasible for a person this side of the world to actually spend. In total, the idea is to spend no more than $950 and have a truly overhauled bike. That is how much it costs, because if we're able to stick to the cost, if this all works out, we're gonna have a hard-hitting, gravity-focused all-mountain bike for $950 in Zim. That is the biggest selling point, because again, as I pointed out earlier, you can get second-hand bikes from South Africa, but you still got to worry about the shipping. Then there's the sizing requirement. Then you still got to swap parts. Then you could obviously buy brand new, like brands like Titan Racing do have cheaper bikes, like the Titan Racing Skyrim ST Sport. Yeah, it exists, but you will also need to swap parts on top of shipping. So once you include shipping and the swapping of parts, you're already sinking again further into that expensive cost. So 950 is the price that I came up with, that if we can get an insane deal, we'll have one hell of a bike for arguably an insane price. And so let's see where this takes us. And thank you for watching episode 1 of this insane project of mine. I look forward to what's going to happen next, and stay tuned for episode 2. Again, that drivetrain swap is going to be pretty interesting.